Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you and the morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And as promised earlier today, we have a very interesting topic under discussion. Of course, in a significant milestone for Egypt's transportation infrastructure, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi officially inaugurated the country's newest high-speed monorail system, linking, of course, the bustling streets of Cairo to the futuristic new capital. And for more on this, we're delighted to have with us this morning in the studio our guest, Dr. Mohamad, Hashem, the Professor of Mass Communications. Dr. Mohamad, very good morning to you, sir.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for having me on this
always a pleasure.
Morning. Yeah,
thank you very much, Doctor.
Happy Eid.
Likewise, sir, and thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's talk a bit about this project that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi just inaugurated.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about the significance, both politically and symbolically, the significance of, this inauguration at this time.
Yes, well, the significance of the inauguration at this time is very significant because look what's happening around us.
Yes.
There's so much going on around us, obviously the war in Iran, so much uncertainty. The project began in 2019, so it's 6 years. A lot of skeptics along the way were saying it's very costly, it might not happen, and it happened. And that's proof of national pride, national achievement, and it's fantastic for Egypt, fantastic for the region, and fantastic for the 2030 vision for Egypt. So it's definitely something to be proud of for beneficiaries and the future that's going to inherit such an amazing project. I was speaking to colleagues in America and Australia, and places like Florida, Melbourne, Sydney, they don't have a monorail. I think Sydney's got a smaller one. So this monorail is 57 kilometres. The Nile East monorail, which is opening up from Nasra City to the administrative capital, is halfway. The other half is still to be opened later on. It's still in the works, so it's a movement towards mobilization. It's pride for the region and the country, especially with what's happening at the moment, and it's incredible. And it's something that the West needs to see because a lot of the Western media say Middle East, lumping Egypt into it.
Yes.
Not knowing that Egypt is a very peaceful place, very safe. The President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has done a fantastic job over the last 13 years to keep it safe, and all of this infrastructure that's been happening, the construction, a new city that's built as big as Singapore in the last 13 years. It only started in 2018.
Yes.
So the monorail is like as we say, like the cherry on top.
The cake, yes.
On the cake, so
yes.
it's fantastic.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Mohamad, of course, the inauguration of the East Nile monorail in the broader vision of Egypt's infrastructure modernization. Tell us a bit about how you see this. Of course, there is, as you said, the 2030 Egypt vision, a whole drive to modernize everything from infrastructure to even governance and the provision of services.
Yes, so you're talking about state capacity, you're talking about digitization, mega projects, so there's so many that are happening. I don't think any president has done that in the history of Egypt since 1952. No president has done that many projects, especially when all the stuff is happening around us. So you're talking about mega projects in infrastructure, digitization, technology. You're talking about the cameras that have been installed over the last few years, the roads, the bridges. It goes on and on and on. And this is all to help, obviously, the citizens. And it might not make sense at the beginning, like anything else, but eventually this is the proof. The proof comes eventually. And it's come at a time that is very needed. Everybody's complaining about, obviously, prices around the world, but Egypt's kept its prices reasonable. At the same time, providing such great infrastructure development, and the finale is here, a monorail in Egypt, from one end of Cairo to the other. So for listeners that don't know what Cairo looks like, so you have New Cairo, which is like 6th of October, which is new, brand new, and then you have middle of Cairo,
and it's right at the east.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then you have another New Cairo, and then you have
right at the other side.
The New Republic, which is the administrative capital. So that's 60 kilometers of monorail, which is never seen before, and it's going to help things like overcrowding in transport, and it gives a different vision and a different look altogether to the city. And it's definitely going to be a great thing for the region. We're seeing what's happening, obviously, in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and the places that people looked up to as the visionaries. Look at Egypt now. Egypt's doing a lot of great work.
Indeed. And on that note, Egypt has, the state has worked very hard to modernize infrastructure as well. We're talking about infrastructure on the roads, on the railways, on the metro, and now the monorail. Let's talk a bit about the importance of this infrastructural development with regards to the transportation system in Egypt, specifically Cairo. We're speaking about millions of people using different public modes of transport every day.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about over 2 million people using just the underground. So if these come up over the ground, it's another story. So tell me a bit about the move and the drive to modernize transportation and the infrastructure for transport in Egypt.
Well, you can say that Egypt's catching up on the global urban design of transport, but you can also say it's leading the way. So Egypt's North Africa, and it's also the MENA region, Middle East, and it's also very close to Europe, places like Cyprus and Greece. So I don't think there's anything quite like it in the region. That's not an overstatement. Definitely going to change the urban design of the city.
Yes.
We're not used to having a monorail on top of the cars and the bridges. The design is very different. It's going to completely change, obviously, the overcrowding, the congestion. The bridges that have been built over the last 9 years have already done that.
Yes.
There are so many bridges in Cairo that no one even knows about yet.
Yes, yes.
And empty roads that you need to, but people are so used to
the main two, three
ones.
streets.
Once
yes.
they get an idea of all the other bridges that have been built. So this will be another addition to helping the overcongestion. And I stress on pride because it's a very difficult time for the world at the moment, and a national pride achievement project like this is very important for the people, and especially for the young children who need to have the confidence and the knowledge that they are going to be the beneficiaries and inherit this one day, and can be proud of it. And a lot of Egyptians who study abroad or they go to America or Europe, this is something to be proud of.
Absolutely, Doctor. Now, on the other side of the coin, there's the situation with the global energy prices, for example.
Yes.
Issues related to climate change, global warming, etc. Projects like this, which also rely on renewable sources of energy, which rely more on the less traditional sources of energy. How important do you see the branching out or the diversification to these new sources of non-traditional energy when it comes to transportation?
Well, you need to use media, obviously, to convince people first to ride it, because some people might be scared of it, because there's a bit of a monorail, makeshift monorail, I think, at the airport, something similar to a monorail. People used to riding this sort of transport in a small area. But if you're going to tell someone this is going to be a daily transport, they're going to be a little bit maybe frightened at the beginning. It's very high up. It looks a bit, you know, could be dangerous.
Daunting.
Yeah. But obviously, the project finished a while ago, because I work at the American University and in New Cairo, and I've been watching it in development.
Stages,
and it finished a long time ago, but they've been doing a lot of testing. So the French company Alstom, which the President mentioned in his speech, he definitely thanks the French company, and also there's a few Egyptian companies like Orascom.
That have worked with this project.
Definitely, and Sweetie Electrics also with the maintenance.
So there's a lot in store with regards to the service and the maintenance as well.
And the President also mentioned that in the future he wants also more local companies to get involved and to be sustainable and climate friendly. Definitely a good step forward. Definitely going to make the world look at Egypt a lot more. Great for investment, international investment, and for local confidence and local businesses to get involved in such a project. So while I was keeping an eye on it the last year, because it looked like it finished a year ago, all the testing that was going on, all the maintenance that was going on, that's employment for the Egyptian citizens, the Egyptian public, and opportunity for new companies to incorporate their work into such a large, massive mega project.
Indeed. Doctor, you mentioned an important thing which you said Egypt is now leading the way with regards to these national mega development projects. How do you see the Egyptian experience proving to be the best it can be, specifically in light of the developments since the corona pandemic, since COVID, followed by the Russian-Ukrainian war, followed by the Gaza war, followed by the Iran U.S.-Israeli war. It's been a turbulent few years and unfortunately affecting the region as a whole, including Egypt. Yet in light of this, the Egyptian experience has proved to be solid, still working with regards to national projects, still developing and still on the development path that was set by the state.
Yes, definitely we can go back to the beginning of talks about developing a new republic for the youth. A lot of people said it's not going to happen, but it actually happened very quickly. Building a monorail in 6 years is too quick. I think in the West it takes more than 10 years to build something that low, maybe more.
Especially with that distance that you mentioned.
2019, we had the Minister of Higher Education giving allowances for licenses for international universities to come and open universities in the administrative capital. Now again, you had skeptics saying it's impossible for the Egyptians to build 26 universities in 2 years because it was a 2-year time frame, and it happened. So you got the EU there, the European University, you've got the Canadian university.
Several private universities opened.
So many opened in a couple of years. So the expanse and the time and the way it happens is just as good as China. I mean, countries like America, Canada, they take longer. The bureaucratic system takes a lot longer. And they're looking at China, learning from China, countries like America, saying, how quick are the Chinese doing? So they should be looking now towards Egypt and saying, how quick and how professional are these projects happening? So that's a fantastic thing. You mentioned Corona. I forgot to mention Corona.
Even during the pandemic.
So
the work didn't stop, really.
Is still reeling from Corona. They're still complaining about what happened to them during Corona. It slowed down the economy. It affected a lot of people's health, mental health. It did nothing to Egypt, because I think Egypt, we had the lockdown here for about 3 months. Other countries had 3 years of lockdown. So all these projects were getting pushed through Corona, and then, as you said, your kind self said, the Ukraine war. Right after America
no break in between.
Afghanistan became Ukraine, and then obviously Gaza the last couple of years, and then now this is happening. So Egypt's doing a fantastic job securing the border, helping other countries, building this. It's all happening at the same time. So it's a fantastic time to be here in Egypt.
Absolutely.
Probably not the full region, but in Egypt, and that needs to be highlighted because you have so much
tension
around you, and it's a lot of hard work.
Indeed. Now, President Sisi in his speech discussed and spoke about how Egypt has pursued security operations alongside development efforts rather than postponing economic development or economic progress. How important do you see the President highlighting this specifically, as you mentioned, Egypt is still in the region, yet one of the most secure countries in light of the tension in the region?
Yeah, it's a reinforcement from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to reinforce the confidence in the state, the confidence in the people operating the country, even though there are skeptics internationally and sometimes internally. But now is the time to prove that Egypt is fulfilling its word, it's doing a fantastic job, and it's fulfilled all its promises and more, especially in safety and living standards. So the advancement that's happening at the moment, the changes in easier getting licenses, the camera technology that's happened, the digitization, the infrastructure, the President mentioned a lot of that also in his speech, and he talks also mostly about wanting national companies to get involved in future projects. There's still a lot more future projects. The administrative capital is not completely finished yet. A lot of it has been done, and that's quite amazing. But there's still a lot more work to be done, and there's a lot of opportunity for future employment.
Now, alongside all of this, the President also discussed supporting Egyptians, supporting the Egyptian citizen, addressing long-term social welfare projects or different social programs that support the lower income earners in Egypt. How do you see the attention that the state is paying to this specific group in light of the economic challenges now as a result of all the conditions we just discussed?
Well, it's always been happening in Egypt. I mean, veterans always get a home in Egypt.
Yes.
You look at the Vietnam veterans in America, they come back to America and they're homeless. There's hardly any homeless people in Egypt. There's always been the infrastructure of housing for everyone.
Yes.
There's always been the ability for cheaper transport available to everyone, and cheaper rents, available food in terms of consumption of food. There's always been that availability for the citizens, and that continues on. Now, the other thing that I also was going to mention about the speech, having the children there at the speech is very important. Because the children need to see the president speaking in such a confident way, and the promises being given and made, and it's successful, because they need to grow up knowing they're living in a successful place in the world, even though there's a lot of, as you said, tension around the region, but it's continued to be safe for the last 13 years plus, and that's very important. Yes.
Now, the president also spoke about some of the challenges and spoke about prioritizing development in light of these challenges. He said that Egypt has acted to preserve stability.
Yes.
He said that the country remains committed to honoring, of course, the sacrifices of the victims or the martyrs that have sacrificed their lives in order for Egypt to reach where it is, supporting their families and describing them and describing their contributions as a source of national pride. And this, as you said, is very important because it happened in front of the children of these martyrs as well. How important do you see the president's keenness, especially with occasions like Eid, to discuss and highlight these topics?
Well, you need to go back when the president took office 13 years ago.
Yes.
There was the problem of terrorism in the country, and he looked after that very well.
Yes.
And some people forget about that, what happened 10 years ago. There was a massive problem in the region.
Yes.
We didn't feel it in the city. People living in Cairo, they did not feel it. The government took care of it really quickly,
Yes.
and it was an amazing way of doing it. There was no stress on the public at all. And you need to look at that, and we need to look at these people that lost their lives. What's happening now is built on that legacy.
On the sacrifice,
on
yes.
that sacrifice.
Absolutely.
So that's very important to know that. Very important for the children to know that also, and to see the proof that's happening now in the mobilization. And there's a lot of misinformation, and this is proof that, to disprove any misinformation about ideas that might sound costly, this is proof that they're getting done. It's viable. So ideas can turn into real things, and it's actually in concrete, and it's getting done. And that's the most important thing, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, these are great ideas, they're too enthusiastic, they might never ever happen, but they have. We have a huge monorail, we have another city in Cairo, as big as Singapore, I mentioned that before,
Yes.
and all the other stuff we mentioned. So it's a great time to be here. Tourism's gone up in the last 2 years because of the museum. Millions of people are coming to Egypt, and it's very, very safe. The airspace is working in Egypt.
Yes.
There is nothing going on here at all, and that
Absolutely.
needs to be told to a lot of people in Egypt and around the world.
Absolutely. You need to highlight this and remind
Yes,
everyone
very
that Egypt
important.
stands very, very unique in light of the current
Yes, a
circumstances.
lot of people call me and say, how are you going? Well,
Yes.
we're not.
How are you
we're far-
managing? Are you all
We're far
right?
away from
Yes,
Iran.
yes.
We're not part of that at all, and we're doing a great job to keep the Egyptians safe and everyone around the region safe also. So
Absolutely.
a lot of hard work.
Indeed, absolutely right. I'd like to leave it at that. I'd like to thank you very, very much, our dear guest, Dr. Mohamad Hashem, the Professor of Mass Comm. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and
Thank you.
for joining us this morning.
Thank you for your
It's been
time.
an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Thank you, sir.